Hello, hi, this is part 3 of your Bubbly Bulletin number 7, and we'll be talking all about La Côte des Blancs and Blanc de Blanc champagnes. So it's all about Chardonnay grapes. So let's press on without further ado by having a look at the map. You've probably seen this map a few times before, and it shows you where the Champagne vineyards are in relation to the rest of France. And within Champagne, the area called La Côte des Blancs is supposed to show up in yellow. It looks as though it's come out in white here, but this is it right here below the town of Épernay. It stretches north to south in a narrow band about 15 kilometers long and about 1 kilometer wide. That's it right there. So why don't we take a closer look at the next map. Here we are. Here's the river again at the top, the Marne River flowing from right, that's the east, through to the west, and continuing down the Vallée de la Marne to further vineyards and out eventually as far as Paris. The green dot here is the town of Épernay, the biggest town in the area, and just about 5 minutes drive south of Épernay you get to the La Côte des Blancs, which is outlined here in orange. So you see this narrow strip of vineyards stretching about 15 kilometers south and about a kilometer wide. There are lots of villages in this area, of course, but the 6 principal villages, they're called the Grand Cru villages, whose grapes are classified as 100% in quality, are from the top they are Wary over here, then you have Chouilly, Cramont, Avise, Auger and Le Mesnil-sur-Auger. Now, there are a few things to know about the La Côte des Blancs to understand why it's so special. Well, the first thing is, as we see from the next page, that it's acknowledged to be the area in which the finest Chardonnay grapes grow. You can grow Chardonnay grapes anywhere in Champagne, of course, but the best ones come from La Côte des Blancs, and consequently it follows that the best Blanc de Blanc champagnes, which are made entirely with Chardonnay grapes, also come from this area. As we saw just now, it's a thin, narrow strip of land, but the two most important things about it are that all the vineyards are south or southeast facing, so they get the maximum amount of sun to ripen the grapes. They are buffeted a bit from the winds from the east, but fortunately that doesn't happen too often. And the other important thing is that the chalk, the subsoil, is chalk. It's up to 250 meters thick in places, and that really adds to the mineral quality of the grapes and to the wine that is produced from them. La Côte des Blancs, incidentally, literally means the hillside of the white grapes, but that loses something in translation, doesn't it? So let's stick with La Côte des Blancs. Here's a picture looking south. You can see the villages one after the other as you move along the road. On the right hand side at the top of the hills, which are about 150 meters high, you've got the forests. The vineyards slope away to the left down the hill towards the plain far away on your left hand side to the east. Lots of little paths meandering through the vineyards there, dividing them up into lots of tiny plots of land, all owned by small growers who have a hectare or less each. Here's another view looking north, not exactly from the same place, but similar view. This is taken in the height of summer with all the leaves out, and again the hillsides with the forest on top are away to the left, and the vineyards slope away to the right. That's to the east on the right. Just here at the back there's a vineyard where there's nothing planted. The vines have been uprooted because they're too old, got past their best, and the land's being left to recover for a year or two. So those typical images from La Côte des Blancs. Now, what makes Blanc de Blanc special? Well, it's made only with Chardonnay grapes, as we've seen. It's often fairly pale in colour, unless of course it's a much older Champagne, in which case it will have darkened in colour. The flavours of Blanc de Blanc are predominantly citrusy zing. They're minerally from the chalk, and the aromas and the flavours are going to be, or certainly the aromas, blossoms, floral, grass, herbs, that type of thing. So that's why Blanc de Blanc champagnes are often described as being subtle or delicate or elegant or light and feminine and fresh. All these words mean the same thing. They're Champagne talk code for meaning there's lots of Chardonnay in it, so that's all it means. Because Blanc de Blanc has this great sort of citrusy zing to it. It's great in an aperitif, really gets the taste buds going and ready for the food to follow. I've suggested sushi and oysters as ideal. There are other things, of course, to suit your own taste, but don't go for anything too strong in flavour because it will overpower the Blanc de Blanc. So if you like a dry, crisp style of champagne, this is certainly well worth trying, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. What to look for on the label? Well, first thing, of course, is the name champagne. If it doesn't say champagne on the label, well, it's not champagne in the bottle. Here's the maker of this particular one, Le Gras and Haas. Probably haven't heard of them, but don't worry, we'll talk about that in a second. Now, the next thing on this label is the name of the village, Chouilly, which you saw just a second or two ago. They're proud of that because it's a Grand Cru village. They put the village name on there, and just underneath that, to emphasize that, they've put in capital letters Grand Cru to show you that the grapes they've used are absolutely top quality. Now, if the champagne is Blanc de Blanc, it will usually say on it. There's no reason why it shouldn't. So this is the thing to look for if you're looking for a Blanc de Blanc. And last, underneath this, it says Brut. You rarely, in fact, I don't think you'll ever find a demi-sec Blanc de Blanc. I've never come across one. Sweetness and Blanc de Blanc just don't go together. They're opposite concepts. Blanc de Blanc is always all about freshness and zing and a little bit of citrus tang to it. Demi-sec is going to be luscious and round and rich. So all Blanc de Blanc is going to be Brut, or perhaps ultra Brut, or something even less, with less sugar in it. So that's a typical label. In terms of names to look for, don't worry if you can't find the big names, because a lot of them don't specialize in Blanc de Blanc. In fact, they don't even make Blanc de Blanc. Nothing right or wrong about that, but their style requires them to use black grapes in their blends, and once you put any black grapes in, you can't call the champagne Blanc de Blanc. Instead, you're going to find some great Blanc de Blanc champagnes amongst the smaller growers. So or rather don't be afraid to try some of these using the tips and the things to look for that we've just seen on that label. Here are some names to consider. The three you'll probably know best: Krug, Clos de Menil, Salon, two very expensive and very well-renowned champagnes. De la Motte is the sister company of Salon. It's the #2 brand of Salon. And here are a few lesser known ones, but ones which I think are fantastic quality: Pierre Gimonet, La Mondier, De Souza, Franck Bonneville, Pearson Whitaker, Launois, and Pascal Doquet. They all specialize in wines and champagnes from the La Côte de Blanc, primarily Blanc de Blanc. So look out for those names. That's really all for today and our brief run through of La Côte de Blanc and Blanc de Blanc champagnes. There's lots more to know, of course, but if you want to find out about that, grab a copy of my ebook, The Insider's Guide to Champagne, by going to www.madaboutbubbly.com, where if you leave your email details, you can receive these regular Bubbly bulletins. You don't have to buy the book, of course. You can just get you just sign up to our Bubbly community, so that'd be great to hear from you. If you want a more occasional blog about Champagne, visit my blog at debatabubble.com. And if you think of going to Champagne with some friends, do try out our lovely home in the heart of the vineyards. And if you go to that web address shown there, you'll see all the pictures and the information and the prices. So do take advantage of that. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you by email, all your questions and comments. So please, it's Giles, Giles, at madaboutbubbly.com. I'd love to hear from you, and look forward to the next time. And that's it for now. Thanks very much for listening and watching. Bye bye.